The basic problem has been the nature of the fiscal deficit. But I differ a little bit on emphasis from many people who've been talking just about the fiscal deficit, though that will be the final result. But I think the real culprit, in a sense, is the revenue deficit and the consumption of the government. If you look at the sources of the rise in fiscal deficit, it's the fast rise in what we call consumption and transfers, rather than investment.
And do you think the Congress's promise of keeping it up to 3% and amending the FRBM Act, is it doable?
Well, I think it's doable, but as I said, you know, the FRBM Act also said zero revenue deficit. Absolutely. And in all the projections of the Congress, the budget, the current budget and the future, there is no intention expressed of going to that zero limit.
On the current account front, the Congress talks about, you know, the financing. They don't talk so much about the rate or the percentage, but they talk in terms of financing and opening India to all kinds of overseas flows. What is your view? Whereas the BJP says that we must, you know, encourage exports and try and get imports down. So which of those two views is better?
So, on one hand, you have to remember that, you know, capital flows is a problem because we have to finance a sustainable level of current account deficit. But if you open capital flows to finance an unsustainable development, you're actually building up problems for the future.
Manufacturing really holds the key. Would you agree with that view?
Oh, absolutely, Mythili. I think if you look back on our track record, it's hard to find another 2 successive years where growth of manufacturing has been close to zero, you know, plus or minus 1% for 2 successive years. And so in that sense, I think we're in a really bad situation.
Arvind, if we both agreed, and everybody seems, in the fact that both the parties also seem to agree that manufacturing revival is key to economic revival, and their views on this seem to be more or less similar. Both of them talk about in terms of industrial corridors, national investment regions, national investment zones, but given the fact that SEZs, the special economic zones for exports, didn't really help, what is the chance that a national investment zone, a national industrial zone that both parties have suggested will help?
Shorter term, we'll have to get into the macro issues, like, for example, what's been happening to taxation and how revenues are being extracted. Because if you listen to actual industry, they are saying the tax authorities are really coming down hard, and that's having a negative effect. So, for example, one of the manifestos, the BJP one, talks about tax terrorism. So there are short-term issues which will have to be addressed. But I think you quite rightly, we want to focus on a little more longer term issues. So as we know, both Shankar and I have talked about these. They are basically 3 broad issues, and I'll mention them very quickly. One is infrastructure, which is kind of what the cluster approach or the corridor approach tries to address. The second is labor flexibility. You know, if we want more employment from manufacturing, you have to do something about the exit policy. And the third is skills.